Right, welcome back to Around the Dinner Table today. I'm here with Claire Danute.
There you go.
Condiment Claire, aka Condiment Claire. Welcome to New Zealand.
Thank you.
I'm so stoked to have you on the podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. So happy to be here. I've always wanted to come to New Zealand. And
I was going to ask, is it your first time here? Yeah. What are your first impressions?
I am so shocked by Auckland. I really expected it to be, smaller, very quaint, and instead there's so many modern buildings. There are such cool restaurants, cafes, wine bars.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. I love it, but it's just so different.
So big, yeah.
Also,
it's a big city now, isn't it?
So hilly.
Yeah,
so many hills.
They're all volcanoes. Yeah. Did you know that?
Yeah. I went to the Auckland Museum yesterday, learned all about it. Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. So I've been binge consuming your content.
Okay.
And I listened to, like a big nerd, the audiobook of this on my way to Auckland last night. And so my boyfriend was driving and I was like, I couldn't find the book because it's obviously not out yet. So 27th of Feb, is that when it hits the stores?
Here?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it said when I went to Whitcoulls and she goes, no, the release date's 27th of Feb.
No, it's January 7th.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay, so she had the wrong...
Or maybe, in Australia, I know it's January 7th, and they said Anzac January 7th.
Ah, okay.
If it's... I
book
have an event tonight. I should probably know if the book is out here or not.
Well, that was maybe misinformation from the bookshop then. But I definitely couldn't find it.
I'll get you a copy regardless. Don't worry about it. We'll sort that out.
I was actually thrilled with my audio experience.
I'm so glad.
So my boyfriend was driving and I was like, I want to listen to this. And you should see, both of us, 3 hours, we didn't stop. We were completely enthralled, like absolute nerds. And we even listened to like all the recipes. And he's like, Sheree, this is the most interesting thing I've ever listened to. I was like, me too. How cool
so nice. That's so nice. I think you both may have been the only people in the world to listen to the audiobook version of
I reckon
the book,
everyone's going to get into it now. Maybe.
Make it viral, audiobook.
I think we should make it viral. I like podcasts, but I've never I don't think listened to a book on Spotify.
A recipe
it's just on
book
Spotify.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
I love
isn't it. But like the way, because you it's your voice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought
they were like,
cool.
would you want to do it? We know it'll take up a lot of time. I was like, are you kidding me? If someone else is reading my book about like, this is how I make my ketchup, I think I would freak out.
Yeah, and like your
fun.
pronunciation of everything, and I think your French influence really comes through. There's a lot of stuff that comes through. So anyway, we loved it. I thought it was amazing. So if you don't have it, you can jump on Spotify and have a little listen.
Listen to my entire book.
And saying that though, I'm probably as passionate about condiments as you. So maybe the rest of the readers are not quite, but I'm actually hugely inspired by that. I think there's so many flavour combos I'd never thought of, and just the way that things go together. So as someone who makes condiments for a living, I think this year is going to be great for me.
I'm so excited for you.
I think you've changed my life with this little book.
That makes me so happy.
I know, isn't that cool? So yeah, tell us about the book in your words. And do you want to start by telling us a bit about the history? I kind of know about your blow up in lockdown and then these multiple TV deals that had sort of come and then fell through because you didn't have the following, and then you turned to TikTok.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell it in your words? Like,
of course. So a little snippet about my life. After university, I went into production, as in like TV, food, travel, docuseries in New York, was working for different companies, finally got the opportunity to film my own show and host it. And so I quit my job in New York, moved to Greece, and then moved to Mexico City for a few months at a time to film a show about grandmothers and how grandmothers have the best food.
Yeah.
It's ugly, but no matter what country you go to, a granny's food is going to be the most delicious food.
That's where you find the authenticity, don't
Exactly.
you?
And so I was doing that, and I was in Mexico City, and I got a call being like, hey, it's March 12th. The borders to the U.S. are going to close tomorrow because there's this thing called COVID. Do you want to lock down in Mexico, or do you want to go back to Los Angeles, which is where my mom was? Yeah. And I was like, Mom, I'm coming home. Like, I was like, I just need like a little safety blanket.
Yeah.
So I went back to Los Angeles, didn't know what was going to happen for like that next like month or 2 months, because everything kept getting extended. No one really knew what was happening. So it's like, do I have a job? Do I not? Eventually, those shows got axed because the elderly all are vulnerable. So you can't film a show with grannies and like put them at risk. Like, no.
Yeah.
I get a call from a production company, and they basically are like, hey, we've seen your reel. We like you as a host. We have the same concept for a show, but we don't love our hosts. Would you ever consider hosting ours? But you wouldn't own the IP, but would you consider hosting. And I was like, you know what, at this point, I don't have a job. Like, yeah, I'll consider hosting. Great, done. And they were like, okay, well, how many followers do you have?
Yeah.
And I didn't have any followers. You know, I had like my 300-400 private Instagram followers because that was like, I don't know, I've never wanted to share too much on social media.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, where am I going to get these followers? And the easiest way to do that at the time was on TikTok. So I started on TikTok out of spite.
Yeah.
And
How was that transition from not, you know, like just like, right, I'm going to have to do this and approach this because I need to have followers?
I didn't tell any of my friends. I was mortified.
Yeah.
Mortified. I just moved to Prague. So I moved to Prague and to London during that like summer of the pandemic. And now I've been in London ever since. So it's been 5 years. So I was like, okay, hopefully the algorithm worked where none of my friends in the US can see this. I'm like really embarrassed by this. But I wasn't, even now looking back at those videos, because sometimes they'll appear and I'll be like, whoa, like that was, I've never said anything that I regret saying, or I never, you know, posted a video that didn't feel authentic to me.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Like thinking back on it, the first video I ever posted, I can't believe I'm saying this, it was about the fact that when I go get ice cream, if it's near like my flat, I'll eat the ice cream, I'll come home with the cone, and then I'll make cereal using the mashed up cone with like salt. Yeah. And that's how I have my cone. Right. And people are like, what is this? But now looking back on it, it's technically dessert condiment, I guess you can call it. Like a salty cereal.
It's interesting and it's authentic and it's real. Like that's what people like watching, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it made sense that it just kind of worked.
Yeah.
Do you, because you don't give, I couldn't find much about you personally, like as in like age or where you live or like maybe I didn't go back far enough, but it appeared to me that you've done a really, really good job of keeping your personal life quite separate, even though you have this insane presence.
Yeah, it's, you know, from the beginning, as I said, like I never really wanted to be on social media. I never thought I'd be in a position where I was on social media. You know, I like having my personal life. I never really show my friends on camera unless they're like also in the food world and showing, because otherwise it's, you know, that feels like an invasion of privacy. It feels like, why would I share their lives online if they're not sharing their own lives online? And it's interesting because when I've been going to these events for the book tour, you meet people and everyone is so lovely and so connected because we all speak about flavor, which is so ingrained in like memory and things that are very personal. So everyone feels like they know each other, when in reality, like I would never have filmed a video about like, hey, I'm going through a breakup, or like, hey, I'm having a really sad day. And I'm really glad that, you know, it feels like we're on FaceTime when I'm making a video, but there's still that level of separation where I still have my life to myself, which is, you know, something I really wanted to make a point of at the beginning. And I'm really glad that even to this day, I do have that separation where, like, if you want to know the answer, I'm 28.
Yeah, well,
I live in London.
No, well, I don't
again, like,
I just think it's incredible that you've managed to do that while posting 4 or 5 videos a day. That has remained personal for you, whether you have like all that stuff that people don't need to know.
Yeah.
And I think most other people I follow, I guess you don't get that. Like it's either just food, you know, like camera down on the food, maybe a face every now and then. You don't even know their name. Yeah. Or it's like, this is my entire life laid out on a platter for you. Yeah. And you've managed to kind of find this in-between thing, which is really, really cool.
Thank you.
And I love it. So well done. Very clever. You're very intelligent. Like as a creative. You went to Harvard? Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Yeah. I've never met anyone who's been to Harvard before. This is my sheltered New Zealand life. Yeah. And history, was it history? Mm-hmm. And was there a specific food history avenue you could take, or did you just follow that passion?
No, so within the history department, there was this concentration called history and literature. And you basically learned about history through literature written at the time. So it was a smaller group of people, but we learned history through whether it was fashion magazines, restaurant menus, diaries, journals, newspapers at the time, for example, World Fair pamphlets. And I loved that because I'm never going to be someone who, as much as I love history, a giant history textbook that tells you, like, in the year 1832, that's not that interesting to me. Yeah. But if you make me dive into, like, okay, here's my journal. I'm 16 years old. I'm walking down the streets of Paris. And, like, today I ran into this cafe and there was no bread. Like, that is more interesting to me because I have that attachment to characters. Yeah. And so I started taking classes in history and literature that were a lot nicher. So for example, I took a class all about like London as a city.
Yeah.
I took a class all about like sports and colonialism, which I loved. So it was more so I focused on Europe and I focused on the 1800s to present. So it was lots of lifestyle-y stuff, let's say.
Okay.
So again, fashion, food, sports, because those are like probably my top 3 interests when it comes to history.
Okay.
And then my junior paper, I wrote about wine in France during World War II and how wine was kind of a symbol of being French. I tapped into IPA, which is India Pale Ale, and the relationship between the colonies in Britain. And that I just always really liked. And I really loved focusing on food history.
Yeah.
I thought I would write my thesis on the Michelin Guide, and it ended up being so much information about tires because of like the Michelin tires that I was like, actually, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So I pivoted and I actually wrote about Christian Dior in France after World War II and notions of femininity and going into that.
Yeah.
But in terms of my own personal research, my notes app on my iPhone has always been filled with random food fun facts.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because if I'm sitting at a dinner and it's in front of me, I'm like, I wonder where the first tomato came from. Like, I wonder, like, how to make its way here. Like, but what about tomato ketchup? What about tomato ketchup? Like, chutney. Yeah.
I learned so much listening to this yesterday, like the banana ketchup in the Philippines.
Wild.
The tomatoes, how they all thought that tomatoes were poisonous because they were serving them on the lead plates and that was soaking up the lead and making everyone sick. I was like, that stuff is just so interesting to me. I wouldn't say I'm interested in history, but you're right. Like you pull these parts out of like those gems out of it and you just can be so fascinated by the information in there. I think it's such a cool story. It's very niche, isn't it? But it's like, it's so cool.
Niche is definitely the word.
I love it. Okay, I'll pull my, I was interested what you had. Have you got your phone on you?
Yeah.
What, can you read me your notes app?
Yeah.
What were your recommendations to eat in Auckland?
Oh, my recommendations to eat in Auckland. Moore Bakery was highly recommended to me.
Yeah.
And then through my incredible friend, Nicola Lamb, who's this wonderful baker, she actually knows Kelsey, who started Moore. So I had dinner with her at Ragtag last night. Ragtag was highly recommended to me, so I'm glad we went there.
That's so funny. We were just, where'd you go for dinner last night? I went to Ragtag too. So I've been
just missed
dying
each other.
to get back to Auckland and I was straight to Ragtag. So
I went to Churbe for matcha yesterday.
Yes. Okay, cool.
I also went to, what was it called? I want to say it's called Mubi. Hold on. Someone recommended, let's see, where is it? Please hold.
And you went to the Blue Rose for the Pacific Islander.
I went to Blue Rose, yes.
Was it a hangi pie?
It was a hangi pie.
Yeah.
And a Pacific Islander plate.
Yeah.
So I knew that when I was in Auckland, I really wanted to try authentic Maori cuisine.
Yeah.
And I'd just been to the Auckland Museum during the day and I did the whole Maori cultural experience, which was so... I've always been fascinated by Maori culture because I grew up watching the All Blacks.
Yeah.
My dad's a big rugby fan.
Yeah.
We would quake in our boots every time they played France, but loved watching the All Blacks. So to me, seeing the haka was something that was always so powerful.
Yeah.
And so I knew that even if I was only in New Zealand for 3 days, that's something I really wanted to experience. So I went to the museum, spent so many hours there, was planning on going to Blue Rose today. But I was like, you know what? After that experience, I really want to be able to like experience a hangi pie.
Yeah, cool.
Which again, didn't get to experience a hangi on this trip. But if it's all mishmashed in a pie, it's the best I can do. Trying.
You're right though that a lot of the hotels that do the hangi, it's like kind of steamed in a steamer oven when they put tea tree oil in it. Because when I did my chef's training, that's how they used to do it because they can't like legally cook it underground and then serve it because of all these risks of contamination in the dirt. So it's quite hard to find a really authentic one. So it sounds like you've had a really authentic experience, which is cool.
It was nice. It was, I went to the counter and I was like, listen, I know nothing about this cuisine. Like, what do I eat?
Yeah.
Educate me.
Yeah.
And they gave me a nice selection.
Oh, that's cool.
See. My notes up.
Very cool.
Okay, all about what I learned at the Maori experience. So all about like what ha and ka means. Okay, what else? I went to the Taronga Zoo a few days ago.
Yep.
Learned all about these fun facts about animals.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're cryobanking coral right now from the Great Barrier Reef.
Because they're worried that it's going to...
Yeah, they're finding a way to reproduce it, which is fascinating.
That is fascinating, yeah.
Did you know that kangaroos have a 36-day gestation period?
I did not.
And then they just fall out, and then they know to go into the pouch without the help of mom and just...
They just pop back in.
Pop in.
Latch on.
Yeah, so again, just like random, really.
I love that. I love that you write it down. That's something I should do because I often hear something really interesting. I'm like, I should remember that. And then it's gone from my memory.
Exactly. And then it's fun because if you're on a plane ride, like I raw dog a lot of plane rides where it's like I don't even need headphones sometimes. I'm just like sitting there and then I just go through my notes app.
Yes.
And I remember that, I love this. Koalas sleep 22 hours a day.
This is so interesting.
That's what I do on a plane.
I'm just going to study all my prior knowledge. Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. So how was Bondi food scene? Did you stay in Bondi?
Yeah,
or did you
stayed in Bondi.
That's cool.
Yeah, a bunch of friends of friends lived in Bondi. So when I knew I was going to Sydney, I was like, you know what? Let me try and schedule all of my meetings, everything in the CBD on one day, 1 or 2 days.
Yeah, perfect.
So that for the last 3 days, I can just, wake up, go to the beach, breathe.
Yeah. Isn't it the most incredible thing? And the walk from Bondi to Bronte is
so nice.
It's so nice. I love it there. I've had lots of friends move. I'm from the Mount, so just down. Few hours down, but it's like the New Zealand's version of Bondi. It's only about 1/10 as cool. But yeah, they all moved to Bondi, so I always go and see them when we do the walk, Bondi to Bronte. Have your matcha and the carp from the Harry's and the little takeaway cup.
I really thought that place would be overrated and just nice and aesthetic.
Yeah.
Their matcha is delicious.
It was quite good.
It's so delicious.
And
so I kept
options.
trying all of the different ones around Bondi the entire week. I probably tried 12 different ones. And on the last day I was like, this is what I want. I want to get the matcha that I like. I want to go on my 5 a.m. morning walk.
Yeah.
I want to go to a breathwork class.
Yeah.
I want to just sit and read my book outside.
Yeah.
And that's
perfect.
what I did. And
Lovely.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I loved
what
it.
was your best bite, do you reckon, in Bondi? I was in Sydney in general.
There's a place in if we're saying Bondi, there's a place called Uncut where it looks like a seafood deli. But you can order fish that's either prepared sashimi or cooked or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so I got this Mediterranean platter of sashimi style fish, just the selection, and they put olive oil on top and capers and shallots. And it's so simple but so delicious. I love raw fish, so I ate lots of raw fish on my trip.
Did you go to Raw Bar?
I did go to Raw Bar, which also was delicious.
That's quite good too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool. Love it there. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I just told you before, I just read an article about, in terms of New Zealanders, that aioli, it's not really aioli, but we know it as aioli in New Zealand, has just overtaken tomato sauce as our most popular condiment in New Zealand.
Which is so interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
It's so fascinating.
So tell us about your findings across the countries of who's loves most, what condiment most.
So I have an empty book that I bring with me to all of my events, whether it's in England or in Ireland, South Africa, now it's here, where every time I sign someone's book, I have them sign my book because that feels like that's right. And I have them sign their name and their favorite condiment and another message if they want. And so now I kind of have a record of all the different countries. And I was fascinated to see that Ireland, most people said garlic mayo. Would not have thunk. South Africa, lots of chutneys and achars.
Yes. Yep.
Australia, everyone was like, Vegemite. You must try Vegemite, which I do love.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. And in the UK, lots of sweet condiments. Lots of jams, honey, marmalade. So
your favourite is Dijon mustard.
Yeah. My all-time.
I was like, when I heard that, but then I've heard you speak about it or read about it in the book.
What surprised you about it?
I don't know. It just wouldn't have maybe it seems quite niche, but then when you do think about it, you're like, no, that goes in everything and with everything. So I guess that makes sense. And it's mellow enough to be everywhere, but tasty enough to not overtake everything. Yeah. So it is. And you can make dressings or mayos or everything from it as well.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. What would be your top 5?
Ooh,
you can go real specific.
Dijon soy sauce. I think soy sauce is great because you can use it in so many things. Sometimes I say ponzu, but today I'm going to say soy sauce. Okay. I love cinnamon.
Yep.
It's the American in me. I can dump cinnamon in anything and everything.
Okay.
Love it. I could go very classy and go salted butter, lemon, honey, lemon, salt as my last 3, but let's be more interesting today. I love anchovies.
Yes.
I love anchovies.
So beautiful.
Really love anchovies.
Same. It's almost like you have to divide it into 2. Like, you can't live without butter, salt, lemon, garlic. Like,
yeah.
Even though they're condiments, they're like, I don't know, if you put them in your favorites, it's like, oh.
Yeah, today we're not going to put them in the favorite.
No.
We're deciding
you
that
need
it's
them.
not. Yeah.
You need them. They're almost above favorites.
Okay, so we have Dijon soy sauce, cinnamon, anchovies. It's tricky for the last one. I do love a pear jam. I think pear jam is very underrated. Very underrated.
I like that. That'd be like with cheeses or with anything.
Yeah, pear jam and blue cheese is a dream combo.
Yum.
Pear jam and a crepe is delicious, but the croissant is delicious because it's not too sweet. I make a pear lemongrass jam that the recipe is in my book, and it's really bright because, you have the sweetness of the pear, but then the aftertaste is that like lemongrassy, fresh, citrusy, so you don't feel like you're having something that's like...
I listened to you talk about the pear lemongrass jam, and this is
you listen to the recipe?
This is your flavor combo.
Yeah.
You can claim that one, I reckon.
So fun.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it. It sounds amazing.
Thank
it's
you.
like so interesting.
Thank you.
It's like change your life. I love it. Is there any condiments you don't like?
There's this one condiment in the UK that I tried when I first moved there called sandwich spread. That's basically, think coleslaw in a jar, but with no bite. There's no texture to it.
Okay.
And no like acid, no salt. It's just like really mayo-y, wilted veggies all mashed together into a little glass jar.
Oh, okay.
So, I said that on a radio show once in England a few months ago, and people went crazy.
Did they?
They were like, we love sandwich spread. I'm like, that's okay. Like, that's okay. You do you. I'll do me. And it's not that. That is not.
It would be like margarine, like if.
Oh,
like
yeah.
That can
See
go.
that? Like, I guess I don't even consider margarine.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think like, there's not much of what I wouldn't like, but yeah. Those sort of like super, super highly processed things with no flavor is maybe anything in that category.
Yeah, same category, sandwich spread.
What about like homemade versus store-bought? What do you reckon's better store-bought and what's better homemade?
I think, people are always surprised when I say this. I think mustard is better store-bought.
Yeah.
I think,
I'd agree with you on that,
I get a lot of messages being like, when are you making your own mustard? Or like tagging me in videos where people are making their own mustards being like, you need to try this. And it's like, you know what? I've tried making my own mustard before. It's good, but I know the brands that I like. I know the texture that I like.
Yeah.
I can't, for example, Dijon mustard, sometimes it's made with verjus, which is like the pre-fermented grape juice. Like, I'm not going to go out and buy, no. I know what I like. It's not expensive. No. I'm not going to grind all of my, we could go on forever. But mustard, I would say better store-bought.
Yeah.
I think there's a time and a place for store-bought ketchup and mayo. It's like if you're having a barbecue, if you're like, sometimes you don't want fancy ketchup. You can just buy it at the store. But it really depends on, the time and the place and whether you want to try and make it or not. I think that's the main thing.
True.
I think jams, I would say always better homemade.
Yeah.
Anything sweet, better homemade, just because you never know how much sugar is going into it. And it's not about the sugar levels and the health aspect. It's in the idea of keeping the purity of what that fruit tastes like. And, it's in the dead of winter. I make this tomato vanilla basil jam too. I like to be able to taste the red tomato from my house in the summer. If I'm buying a jam at the store, I can't taste that. I can't taste the memory. So
that's
it's
true.
the idea of also when you're making a condiment, remembering when you made it, remembering why you made it.
And that's quite a common theme throughout this book, like relating taste to a memory and how important that is. And I think that really got me thinking, and you're so right, like the things that you don't like potentially have a negative memory attached to it. And then these things that you do love, maybe it's more where you had it or who you had it with. Too. So I sell condiments, and I had this disaster once. I tried to jar this chimichurri, and it was the middle of summer and we thought we got it stable and it wasn't stable and it ended up exploding in everyone's Christmas gift boxes. So that fermented and exploded. So it was like 2 days before Christmas and I was like, got the first phone call. They're like, I think my gift box has just exploded under the Christmas tree. I was like, no. This is not going to be a good Christmas for us. And ever since, it's actually the smell of the chimichurri, because I obviously had to go and look at all these jars and smell it. And now I struggle with it. I've been struggling with it for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of my favourite things. And I've only just now been able to like slowly get back into it, but I call it salsa verde. Now I make a salsa verde instead of a chimichurri. It's slightly different. So we leave chimichurri in that pile, even though any form of chopped herbs with other stuff is like one of my favourite things.
That's traumatic.
It is traumatic.
Yeah.
And I was pregnant, I think, so that smell like that really like just
ingrained in you.
It did.
Yeah.
But like tell me some more about that. What have you got any other personal examples of that, like of anything that, do you think that's why you love Dijon so much, or?
Yeah, definitely. So, as we were saying, there's taste and there's flavor, and taste is salty, sweet, bitter, acid, umami.
Yeah.
And flavor, color, texture, smell, but more importantly, in my opinion, flavor, nostalgia and memory.
And you relate that to flavor rather than the taste.
And that's flavor and taste are the 5 tenets.
Yeah, okay.
And I basically like to argue that condiments are flavor.
Yeah.
Because every culture, every home can make some form of chicken, right? But it's what do you put on that chicken that makes it so yours?
Yeah.
And more often than not, it's the condiment. So in my household, my dad's French, we always had a pot of Dijon mustard on the table. Just kind of stay there. Like the cutlery would go away, the plates would go away, the dishes would go away, but the Dijon mustard stayed breakfast, lunch, dinner on the table. And so it's a taste that I'm so used to, just adding to literally everything.
Yeah.
So whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, always Dijon mustard. I always have a little pot in my bag.
Yeah.
Because it makes everything taste good.
Yeah.
And it's that idea that it's very comforting. I don't obviously live at home anymore. I travel so much for work, which I'm so grateful for. But you do have those moments sometimes where you're like, ugh, like where am I? Where am I waking up today? Like, and if I just have a little taste of Dijon,
you got your mustard with you. Yeah. At home.
I feel really comforted and cozy, and it's a really interesting thing what flavor can do in terms of just like making you feel happy and comfortable. And I'm actually writing a piece right now for, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this, so for X magazine about ketchup. And how ketchup is extremely special for everyone because, usually you're introduced to it as a child, tomato ketchup. And whether it's a good memory or a bad memory, you probably remember the first time you had ketchup. And it's such a jolly condiment because when you have tomato ketchup, you think of barbecues with your friends, you think of having chips with your family, and it's one of the first condiments we have, at least in the Western world, as children. So it also teaches us, like, oh, we can add something else to our dish. It doesn't need to be just that dish. Like, if I want, I can have tomato ketchup. I can have mayonnaise. I can have mustard, brown sauce, barbecue, Caesar, like anything like that. So condiments are really special in the way that they, they're kind of like paint.
Yeah.
You can just paint your plate.
That's right.
Completely
like
tailored to you, which is really nice.
So cool. It's so interesting. That's what I do. I guess that's my like life purpose is to connect people with food and find that middle ground and like how can I make you get excited about food, inspire you to cook, or like just find this passion for food. And it's through condiments because everything else is vehicle basically. And I'd never really thought about salt being a condiment, but it is, right? It is. Rubs are, sauces are.
There's certain condiments that also double as ingredients. So, for example, butter and salt.
Butter.
You can use it as an ingredient and you can use it as a condiment, but the versions that you would use for either are very different.
Very different.
You're never going to use, I like to call it like butter versus butter. Like a random block of butter that you melt to put into cookies.
Put in your baking,
That's not going to be the most special slab of butter if you like, go to France and you get like a big salty, big crystal salt, like that on like a beautiful slice of baguette. That's different. A condiment.
That's a whole different thing.
That's a whole different thing.
Avi, so I hope you get to try some good New Zealand butter while you're here. I love French butter, so I'm very passionate about French butter. But every time I have it,
butter.
I get in trouble from the New Zealand farmers. They're like, you need to be supporting New Zealand farming dairy industry, and I was like, okay, that's fair. So what I do is I alternate my Lure-Pack and my other French butters with my New Zealand Lewis Road Creamery butter.
Okay,
and I feel like I'll buy both, and then I'll buy that like salt flakes, and so they all have the special place in the special butter section.
I have tried Lewis Road.
Oh yes,
I was just trying to think. My friend in Bondi, actually, she has New Zealand butter in her fridge, and she's like, you have to try this butter.
Yeah, it's very good.
Tried it. Delicious.
Good.
But I couldn't remember the name when you were saying that. I was like,
Yeah,
so
Lewis
I'm glad.
Road.
Okay, Lewis Road. Yeah,
very good. They do.
Yeah.
They do good butter. Beautiful big sea salt flakes.
And I've also heard that New Zealand Marmite is different.
Yes, it's quite different to
like UK Marmite,
English
yeah.
Marmite. Very different. Yeah, you'll have to give that a try.
And how do you eat? Just like normal?
Just like you would Vegemite.
Okay.
I would. Yeah, we
Just like
have it on
toast,
toast in
butter.
the morning. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you guys make different things with it? Don't know.
Oh. Just like on
People
toast.
put it in a drink. I feel like people like put it in hot water.
Oh,
and
that's
have it as
Bovril.
like Bovril.
Bovril, which I love.
Okay.
Bovril is beef paste.
Okay.
So it comes in the same jar as like Marmite, Vegemite.
Yeah.
But it's actually just beef
different.
extract.
Beef extract.
So
okay.
if you go to a football match, for example, like all of the old men are drinking beefy tea, which is just, guess what? It's bone broth.
Yeah.
Like you have these, like, you know,
Bone broth before it was cool.
Gen Z girls buying 25-pound bone broth at the farmer's market in London. And then judging these old men spending like £2 for beefy tea. And I'm proud to say I am part of both of those categories, and I will do both.
Fair.
So no judgment here.
Okay, I love that. What have you, like, so aside from hangi, is there any other Kiwi food that you've been told that you need to try? Because I saw you having fairy bread in Australia.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like, hey, that's Kiwi, that's Aussie kind of competition. But
I'm devastated that feijoas are not in season.
Oh, I know. I heard you say that, and that is such a Kiwi thing. And you're so close. You probably
And I've
missed them by, like,
never
3
tasted
weeks.
them. And before coming, everyone was telling me, you're so lucky you'll be there during feijoa season. And it's only been 2 days that I realized I am not.
They've just started growing on the trees, so I reckon 3 or 4 weeks you would have been spot on. But it's the shortest season. It's only like a month.
Do you think it's worth it to try the jam? Or do you think better save it for like the real
Try
stuff?
the jam. And we also have these feijoa lollies, these like feijoa
Okay.
sour lollies, which are very popular.
Okay.
Chile
Like
as
frozen or like just like
Nah,
pop-
just like
yeah.
a little gummy lolly
Okay.
in the shape of a feijoa, which
Okay.
it's very sour, but it'll kind of give you the...
Okay. And where
a
can I
little-
find those?
At the supermarkets.
Okay.
Sour feijoas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And try the jam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe.
Oh, it's such a shame. I wonder if there's any early season in like the specialty fruit shops or anything that you could try. You might be.
And we'll
like,
get all
'cause
your
it's close.
specialty fruit shop
It's
recommendations.
close.
'Cause
Okay. Anything else like in terms of? So we have these cheese rolls, but that's from Southland, so that's like a down south thing. We don't really get them.
Tell
up
me
here.
more.
So it's like a piece of white bread, and they mix like reduced cream with a onion dip mix and cheese, I think, and then they roll them up, brush butter on the top, and bake them. It's a very simple thing, and they're very, very fiercely proud of them. And each family will have their own recipe. And they sell them at like fundraisers and they do them at cafes. It's a big thing, but you will not find one in the North Island anywhere. So,
well, I'll look it up regardless.
yeah,
That's interesting.
Southland cheese roll, very
cheese
rogue. Lolly cake. It's like smashed up malt biscuits with these like marshmallowy fruit puffs through them with butter, and you slice it. It's rolled in coconut. It's like a round thing. You'll find that at all bakeries in New Zealand. That's a pretty Kiwi thing. Southland roll, mince and cheese pie, and kiwi onion dip with chips.
Kiwi onion dip.
Yeah, so this is like reduced cream. It comes in a tin. I don't know. I know you can't really get it in Aussie. I don't know if you get it anywhere else. And a packet, it's like a kiwi onion soup mix, and you mix the packet in the thing, put it in the fridge for 10 minutes, and dip your ready salted
And it
chips
comes
in it.
together?
You
buy them separately?
You'll buy them separately, but they'll be together in the supermarket because that's like...
It's like a US thing too.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
you get like sour cream and onion dip.
Yeah, okay.
And then
It is similar.
like the packets or like the ranch packets or the Caesar packets, and then you put that in sour cream. And then if you're having like friends over for the Super Bowl, anything like that, you just
put the packet in the thing. That's very specific. The onion one, I'll be interested in. Yeah. I was going to bring you some to try, and then kina on toast. So
sea
the sea urchin,
right?
yeah.
So I'm gonna go to the fish market today.
Oh, cool.
And hopefully
you'll find
get
some there. You'll find some cool stuff there. Yeah, that's a cool little spot actually. Yeah, I was trying to think on the way up here. I was like, we don't really have, like, aside from hangi and Māori culture, we don't have a whole range of like authentic New Zealand or Kiwi food But
I feel like you do.
do you reckon?
Yeah.
I was like, those things are all kind of like, maybe they are. Maybe that's us. Maybe
I mean, you just named so many.
Okay, all right.
I feel
That's
like
good.
everything is so regional too. You know, you talk about national cuisine when in reality, national cuisine is usually just
Can be quite regional.
think
Yeah.
about, like America, like burgers and hot dogs. Like okay, everyone can kind of do that. It's all about region.
Yeah, that's true. What's your favorite like food to eat in general? What are your favorite vehicles for condiments then?
Ooh, that's tricky. You know, I'm very LA in the sense that I love a good salad. Like giant bowl of like crispy, crunchy, in-season vegetables makes me so incredibly happy because I like celebrating seasonality. So I like seeing how like based on season there's so many like different veg and things to add in. Otherwise, I love a steak tartare. I love a steak tartare and I really do try to limit my meat consumption and I've been better about that. But my favorite dish in the entire world is hands down a good steak tartare with like maybe a side of like green beans and like French fries.
Yeah.
But I love raw fish too.
Yeah.
It's like great raw meat and raw fish.
Yeah.
And salad. Okay.
It's a good time to limit meat because I like even last night the couple of different restaurants I went to, like the vegetables almost outshone the meat.
Yeah.
Which is so cool where you can sit there and order just like plates and plates of different types of veggies in there. There's 5 different condiments, or there's crushed nuts and there's herbs and there's pickles and there's all these things just like making this amazing thing. I love it.
Yeah. Like a good crudité platter is so fun because you can make it colorful. You can just so fun.
I think that's almost like the crunchy crudité platter is not. Oh, maybe it is in Auckland. I say it's really hard to find where I'm from. It hasn't quite come to us yet. So I'm hoping that hits soon. I'm doing a big dinner party in a few weeks and that's on my menu. And I'm like, I really want people to like see how colourful and crunchy and like fresh and vibrant everything can be. It's going to be great.
It's fun. It's so fun for dinner party. I always put I have this giant bowl and I'll just put ice at the bottom and I'll kind of stick all of these like carrots almost like vertically in there and cucumbers and radishes and again whatever's in season, but it's fun because then you end up finding things that you didn't expect you would add. So even like broccolini, blanch them quickly and then put them in, and like that's such a fun one because it's like you have a long stem and you can just bloop,
pull it out
dip.
of your ice bowl. That's fun. Oh, I love that. It's all
Yeah.
about the serving things. So cool. I went to this caviar dinner a few days ago, and it was the most random thing. I was looking online to try and find this caviar for this dinner party that I'm doing, and found this website, and it was like New Zealand's caviar importers from Ukraine, and they were having a Valentine's Day dinner. So I immediately bought tickets. I was like, I want to go and learn about where this caviar comes from. So cool. And we went there. We were the only 2 people there. And she's like, we didn't know how to market it. So it was just by chance that I was on their website, stumbled across it. So we're the only 2 people there. We had like the most authentic dinner. Like she literally got a couple of boiled eggs and they made about 100 different types of vodka. So there was all these like glasses lined up in front of us, and they gave us this giant tin of caviar each, and it was just the most authentic wild thing I've ever been to. We would have had about 15 shots of vodka because we could hardly walk by the time do you know what, that's probably why I'm still slow today, but it was what an experience to stumble upon. And
so
they
special.
literally,
It's like meant to be.
it was meant to be. We kept saying like, how did we get here? We're like in the middle of nowhere, an hour north of Auckland. It was incredible. And like the food was it's like just simple, like 3 prawns with caviar on top, and then some like sliced crayfish with caviar on top, and then he flambéed these strawberries from his garden, and he ended up he's the Ukrainian consul for New Zealand, and he's also a nuclear engineer who studied in Chernobyl for 3 years. I was like,
but happens to love caviar.
You can't buy it. You can't buy those experiences. No. It was just one of the coolest days. I was like, you would have loved it. It's loved it. So cool. Okay. Food trends. I wanted to ask you about food trends because we're probably the last in the world to get whatever's trending. Yeah. What do you see as trending in America in terms of condiments at the moment, or what do you think's going to start trending? What do you think's on the way out? Like, I know hot honey's just had a big moment. I feel like mushrooms is sort of like having a big moment.
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
Food trends are interesting because a lot of the times they become trendy in certain places and make their way around the world, but they aren't a new thing.
Yeah, totally.
It's all so
Yeah.
cultural. So for example, when chili oil was having a moment, chili crisp, like that's been around for ages. So to call it a trend feels so wrong.
True.
But
okay. Well,
in terms of in terms of,
having its moment in popularity, or
I think, are you guys into like the beefy collagen stuff yet?
a little bit. That's maybe starting to come in, like the bone broth powders and things like that.
But in terms of condiments, I'm not seeing a lot of trends, honestly, right now when it comes to condiments. I think butter had a big moment with all of the different flavorings.
Yeah, that's
We had
true.
the chili oils, like chili crisp, the hot honey.
That's definitely.
I think people are starting to use mustard a lot more.
Yeah.
Like Dijon mustard, I think different kinds, which makes me very happy.
That will make you happy.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Fly off the shelf again.
And I think also, tin fish had its moment, but now I think
that's true.
anchovies are, because it had its moment, anchovies are less scary to people. So any condiments using anchovies, so like tapenade, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that yet, but I would hope that tapenade starts having a moment.
I'm so on that train with you. I think
like
anchovy would have been like a firm, like Kiwis I think have like fairly, no, I'm not going to say simple palates, but like selling condiments, most people don't like spicy food.
Yeah.
And that's like, no matter how many hot sauces I'll try and put out, people don't like spicy food. So I do a subscription box every month. You get a box of condiments and they don't want the spicy. They'll skip it if there's something spicy in there. And
So
I'm like, just
interesting.
try it, guys. Come on, like push out, because I love spicy food. But
Love spicy.
no spicy and very little fish or seafood or strong fishy flavors. That's like probably, I reckon, half the people I know don't like seafood.
Interesting.
And that's like slowly changing, but it's definitely this perception, and maybe it's ridiculous because we're surrounded by so much water.
Yeah, that's what's so surprising to me. I would think that like here people loved seafood.
You would think so. I mean, there's definitely people who do, but I think, I don't know, maybe it's like the farmers, or maybe like I don't know. It's just a harder sell. Like I'll go out for dinner with my friends and they like, we don't, you can't get sashimi or whatever. Maybe the workmates. It's just less adventurous, maybe. But anchovies, I've been putting anchovies in everything I cook for the work lunch, and I'm just like slowly building their palate up, and I'll make something, be like, that was yum. I was like, there was anchovies in there, and you didn't even know, did you? That's what I love. I know.
I love doing that.
Use it as a seasoning rather than a like main point, and then we'll try and graduate everyone to loving anchovies. I reckon that could be a main goal. For this year.
You chuck it in Caesar salad dressing, you chuck it into tapenade, and people never know. They're like, this was so delicious. You're like, because there was anchovy in it.
Yeah, it was a delicious flavour. That's interesting about the tin fish trend too. I reckon we never got the cool tins here. I've been waiting for it to kind of come. What are your thoughts on that, tin fish?
I love tin fish.
Yeah, same.
I love tin fish. I liked it when I was younger, but I was always really embarrassed that I liked it, because it wasn't cool to have like canned tuna or sardines, cool especially like tuna, not a thing.
Yeah.
My dad grew up in like the very lower class French countryside and still lives there, and so in my family there, it's a very much a form of shame to like be eating tinned fish, because it's like what's cheap and what you can buy in bulk, and like that's sustenance. And so when I started seeing it come, especially to the States, now in London, of like beautiful like boxes that like cost X amount, and you're like, oh my god. But now I'm 100% on board with it. I'm like, to each one's own. I think the really fancy cans, like I definitely buy a lot of them. I think they're beautiful, they're delicious. You can really, I think especially the companies that really care about where that fish is coming from, I think that's what to look at as well. Okay, like we are a fancy company with beautiful packaging, but we do go and source our fish at this specific place, and like our octopus comes from this place, and our mackerel comes from this place. So I think there's a new level of care as well now that there are more there are more eyes on it. And so I'm a huge fan.
Cool. I think that being cool, it's almost broken down the barrier for your stock standard tin tuna as well. It's like kind of made it like, it's not, you don't need to be ashamed of it now. Oh, cool, we're going to find that in restaurants. We're going to make tuna salad. We're going to do all these. I think it's great. Yeah, big fan. Okay, we'll play this little game. We call it, have you heard of the Fuck, Marry, Kill game?
Yes, I have.
We'll call it Shag. We'll do Shag, Marry, Kill.
Okay.
Mayo, chili oil, whole grain mustard.
whole grain mustard, Mary. I'll shag mayo and I'll kill chili oil. I know.
Oh, okay.
I know, tough, but
That's tough. Okay. Rosemary, basil, and parsley.
that's so hard.
I know.
I love basil. I love rosemary too, but basil and parsley for number one, really hard. I'm gonna say Mary, parsley, shag basil, and kill rosemary, which is very difficult to say.
I know, that's hard, eh? Okay, wait for the next one.
Oh no.
Focaccia, ciabatta, or sourdough?
Mary, sourdough, shag, focaccia, kill ciabatta.
Yeah, okay. That's good.
Yeah, ciabatta is like, don't eat it.
Yeah.
Don't eat it.
I feel like focaccia's, I'm a big focaccia. Oh, God, I keep looking at that. Focaccia is my thing now. I reckon that's surpassed sourdough for me. But ciabatta doesn't really live up, does it?
Like for me, I probably would always say baguette first.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
okay,
I probably would go baguette, sourdough.
Yep.
And then I love, honestly, I guess this isn't like bread, but you know the Sardinian crisps? They're like really thin, flat crisps. I love those.
Yeah.
And I love a good pita as well.
Yeah, they're very good.
Yeah.
They're beautiful actually. Yeah. That's something I'd love to see really take over as a food trend, and I think that's coming now, like just more Mediterranean style food, like it's pitas and hummus and tabboulehs and all those little like bitsy things and marinated feta and warm olives with chili and all those amazing things. Favorite foods.
So many dips, so much citrus.
So many dips.
Love
It's
it.
actually everything's just a vehicle for the dip selection. Actually, that's one of my favorite things about Melbourne. If you go to the markets and they have multiple stalls and they each just make like 30 or 40 dips.
Love.
That you just buy containers full of dips.
Wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
And you can go and get your pita and then you're like, you'll be so happy.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm already excited. I am doing my event right across from Queen Victoria Market.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get there early, do my shopping, go to my own event, go back to the market,
Perfect.
and that'll be that.
Oh, yeah. That's actually incredible. It doesn't have the beaches or like the chill vibes that Sydney has, but the food there, I've never seen a better food scene. It's quite amazing.
Can't wait.
So cool. Okay, I think I'm almost done with questions. I just wanted to know what's sort of next on the cards for you. Like, we've got the book, got a few more stops on your tour, and then what's next for you? Are you going to revisit the TV show?
Would love to.
Yeah.
So that's getting sorted. We'll see. I send out a weekly newsletter that I send out either recipes or city guides, which I really love, and sometimes I do deep historical dives. So that's basically like
on your newsletter.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
my
cool.
Substack. Yeah. So
cool.
every
Substack.
Tuesday,
yeah, perfect.
Every Tuesday I send something out. You know, whether it's city guide or recipe or just like I want to learn about the history of farmers market the other day. So instead of living in my notes app, it lives on print or digital print.
And you can share that with everyone.
Yeah. And then otherwise the US book comes out in May. So I'm going to be in the US for a lot of May and June.
Okay.
Because it's a different version of the book.
I was going to say, why is it different? Because it's even got like a very different cover and all.
Different publisher.
Okay.
So I turned in my first draft to both of my publishers September 1st a few years ago, and the books kind of went two different directions based on, cultural preferences. So the US book still has the doodles inside, but it's full photography.
Okay.
Many, many, many extra recipes.
Okay.
Especially condiment companions, let's call them. So recipes that go with condiment.
Okay.
So like a quiche, a tarte tatin,
a
crepe. Like they're just way more recipes.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the extended version.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
so that you didn't have one publisher for the whole world, you have to do.
Yeah.
Who's distributing the book?
Here at Bloomsbury.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
Bloomsbury in the UK and Commonwealth, and in the US it's Macmillan.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
I'd hope to see, it was so inspiring to me. I'd hope to see anyone who has this book, like, just get so into it and starts fermenting chilies, or
Thank you.
even just getting into, like, being excited about these different flavors.
Yeah.
I did want to actually ask your opinion on MSG.
Love MSG.
Yeah.
Love MSG.
I feel like that is a trend, I guess. Maybe only just hit our shores in the last 6 months from the cucumber guy on TikTok. But we have literally gone from MSG being a black and white no in New Zealand. I've always loved MSG, so I went on the news trying to tell people about it. And they're like, oh, God, that girl from the spice company is like putting MSG in her spices. I was like, hell yes, I do.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
That's why they're delicious.
Not all of them need it. But like if you're looking for a simple way to elevate that, why not? So I started selling it in a bag, just MSG. I'm just trying to like get people excited about it. So this cucumber guy has changed the world of Kiwis being like, oh my God, I don't have to be scared of that anymore. So
MSG on banana.
Oh, I've not tried that.
Weird, it works.
Okay.
It works.
I feel like it works on anything.
Either like apple and peanut butter or banana and peanut butter with a little MSG, maybe some cinnamon.
Yum.
Really yum.
Oh, that's cool. I'm glad that you're into that. That's awesome. Oh, cool. Thank you so much for coming to chat with me.
Before we end, you need to please let me know what your favorite condiment is.
Oh, I know.
Very important.
I spent all day thinking about this yesterday.
Okay,
and
top
it's
5.
so hard because, you have to go top 5, right? Because butter condiment butter.
Yeah.
Like the best butter you can taste.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of my favorite things. Chili oil would be maybe my number 1.
Okay.
But if you're having to count salt, like salt, butter, chili oil, and then I think variations of mayo, and I couldn't pick one, but like homemade mayo, thick, like a nice thick homemade mayo, but I like all different flavors, like lemon and basil or a jalapeno and lime, or like a sort of savor. I made a pepper one for Christmas, just with like 5 different sorts of peppercorns in the mayo, and that's probably my favorite mayo at the moment. But I reckon a mayo, a chili oil, butter, and salt would be top 4. Yeah, I think so. And then like a really tangy relish. Yeah. I don't know if I could pick one though. I would go maybe more spiced, savory than sweet. Yeah. But then that's not even including anything sweet. But yeah, I'm definitely more savory than sweet. But I literally was. I was thinking about this all day yesterday. And then we love pickles. Oh, it's too many. So good.
It's a fun icebreaker.
It's a great icebreaker.
If you don't know anyone at a dinner party, what's your favorite condiment? And they'll look at you like, what?
Yeah.
And then you'll see everyone will get involved in the conversation.
Yeah.
And you'll make new friends like that.
That's so good. I'm like, I obviously needed a whole day to think about that and decide that. But so cool. Oh, so hey, congratulations on the book. It's amazing. And your book launch is tonight at Duck Island, which is cool. I hope you get to try loads of the ice creams.
Can't wait to try.
That's so nice.
I nearly went yesterday and I was like, no, I need to save myself for the full experience.
Yeah. Have you got any more food plans, like dinners or brunches?
I'm going to go to the fish market today to try quinoa.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow going to Moore Bakery.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm going to go and have a look there. I feel like I'll follow them on Instagram. But I don't get up here nearly as often as I need to. So. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming to New Zealand and thanks for coming to chat with me. That's actually been so cool. I feel like I've never met anyone as passionate about condiments as me. So I feel like we're in great company.
Let's hope not.
Well, enjoy the rest of your trip. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right. See ya.